Well, this is the end, beautiful friends. After more than 11 years, this is Toonami's final broadcast. It's been a lot of fun, and we'd like to thank each and every one of you who've made this journey with us. Toonami wouldn't have been anything without you. Hopefully, we've left you with some good memories. So, until we meet again, stay gold. Bang.
And that was the last we heard from Tom from Toonami. But it has been years since that very day. Hello everybody, this is Anthony, to be honest, from Mission Start Podcast. This is a very special episode of Mission Start Podcast. On this episode, we discuss the memories, the rise and fall, and the return of Toonami. For me and a bunch of us who grew up watching Toonami was a great... It was not only just a block of cartoon shows that were showing a bunch of anime that we'd never seen before, or introducing us to anime. It was more than that. Tom and the messages he left with us were actually things we use today that help us bend and mend to our what we are today. Not to say that Toonami was entirely like fault at creating a generation of people like that were, are solely on his words. No. He did have an effect on all of us though. The people who grew up in the 90s. But anyways, in this episode, I talked to people who also grew up watching Toonami. I talked to the guy who's in charge of Toonami Aftermath. I'm talking to my buddy Gregg from Artistic Alliance, Army or Overtime. My fault. Talking about Toonami and how throughout the years how it affected his life as well as everybody else's. So for this episode, sit back and enjoy the awesomeness that is Toonami.
Game over. The user wins.
Greetings, people of the first quantum. My power be upon you.
So, for some people, when Toonami was ended, or when it stopped airing, many people moved on, and many people kind of went and did their own thing, or many people didn't want Toonami to end at all. People like the guys over who keep all the old school Toonami going on stream at Toonami Aftermath. I had a chance to talk with one of them about the website, their streaming, and their shows, and how they kept it going even after Toonami ended, and kind of discuss, how did it feel when Toonami ended, the memories of it and everything about it. So we had a good discussion, and this is what it turned out to be. Hello everybody, it's Anthony, to be honest, from Mission Start Podcast, and with me today we have one of the, I won't say co-founders, but one of the people in charge of Toonami Aftermath. And can you explain exactly what Toonami Aftermath is to people who may not know?
Alright, for everyone who doesn't know, Toonami Aftermath is a 24/7, 365, barring the days that we don't go down from technical difficulties. We are a 24/7 live web stream of all the classic shows that Toonami used to air around the time frame of 1997 to about 2004.
Awesome. When you guys, first of all, tell me your background with Toonami. Like, as much as everybody growing up watching, including me, what exactly brought you guys together to create Toonami Aftermath?
Let's see here. It was around January of 2010. I want to say about January 10th. The actual founder himself, Toon, he had settled in this idea for a Toonami stream after stumbling across a Dragon Ball Z marathon stream online. At the time, it was just something that was bringing back memories to him, and from there, about 8 days later, he decided to go on ahead and launch his own version of Toonami on Ustream.
Okay, because I mean, the thing is though, because I've watched some of Toonami Aftermath, and I remember like when I first discovered Toonami Aftermath, and this is a time where Toonami was not on the air, and like I really wanted that that same feeling I once had. I came across it one day, and I think for the next month or two, I was completely addicted to watching Toonami Aftermath, just because of it was exactly what I wanted, except there was like some new stuff in there that I have never seen before, which was pretty awesome. My question is, when you guys got together, when you got the numbers and logistics out of the way, and you finally launched the day of, like, what was your expectations for, what were your guys' expectations for Toonami Aftermath when it first launched?
At first, there was really no expectations. The main thing that we wanted to do was just give people what they wanted, which was pretty much a nostalgia video site. And from there, it just started to gradually evolve into what it is today.
Interesting. How do you guys keep streaming the video content? Because like I know there's a lot of the stuff that you're airing is a lot of shows and a lot of commercials that were from the old Toonami, even some of the reviews that Tom did. Did you guys go online to find the old footage, or do you guys have like old recordings you guys used to have, or how exactly did you approach that?
Actually, that's a mix of both. We went to the original Toonami Reactor site and obtained quite a bit of data from there, and it was also a mixture of what we had saved from in the past via VHS or DVDs.
Okay. So tell me, introduce yourself and tell us what you do for Toonami Aftermath.
Alright, well, I go by the username SonorCardGauge. I'm one of the 4 administrators currently heading Toonami Aftermath. I work directly under the other 3, being Toonami Aft, Tallest Red, and Sonic Stormer. Sonic Stormer is the head moderator, and I'm vice head moderator.
Awesome. When you started airing, and when you start to see the numbers come in, and eventually it became to where you have, I think, you have like a good amount of people watching it every day. Like in the back of your mind, like when you saw this, like what exactly kind of went through your guys' head when you see like these big numbers starting to come in like every day since when the stream went up?
Really, it's just been a matter of taking it case by case and making sure it doesn't all pile up. Back in 2010, it was relatively small. We were being passed around via various websites. It wasn't actually until about early this year of 2012 that we were mentioned on all sorts of big name sites like Reddit, 4chan, Funny Junk, you name it. And it was right around probably January of 2012 that we experienced our biggest influx. And from there, it's just been a matter of, well, taking people as they come.
Wow. The thing is, though, I think people might be questioning or kind of like thinking, since you're getting all these type of people to view the stream, you're kind of thinking like, using this opportunity to maybe somehow create you guys' own content to sell to make profit. I'm not quite sure, like as far as like what exactly was the goal for the site, but some people who are listening to this maybe thinking like, if you have tons of viewers and you have a big audience, why not make money when you can, right?
Actually, that's something that we're not really about. Any sort of thought that comes to our mind as far as charging viewers, whether that be for merchandise itself or for the stream, leaves a bad taste in our mouth. We're a fan site made by fans for fans, and as long as we have anything to say about it, we want to keep this free.
Good. I like to hear that. going back to how you guys stream the content, and how you guys found the old archives of Toonami. Do you, as far as like who exactly is the one that, or is it like split up into like a server or to somebody's computer where they're like streaming the content all day? How exactly does that work exactly?
I can give you basically the dumbed down rundown. That's the best that even I know.
Mm-hmm.
Toonami Aft himself is the only scheduler master that operates on everything. He is the server administrator who probably about once a week makes sure that the schedule is in place and that everything is streaming as it should be.
Oh wow, awesome. I can imagine like maybe getting a server for you guys to keep this going may cost you guys a pretty penny. Have you guys ever run into problems to where, or just kind of ran into like days where you feel like you guys can't stream anymore because of money issues, just trying to keep the website or the content going in any case during the Toonami Aftermath launch?
Oh, not at all. Throughout the entire time that we've been airing, it's just been, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going.
Awesome. I've been curious because like I was at what was it? I believe I was at anime convention I think a few years ago. And the voice actor of Tom, Stephen Blum, was there. And I went and talked to him, and it's like I think it's like right after I discovered Toonami Aftermath, and I kind of told him about you guys. At any point did like Stephen Blum like kind of on Twitter or like kind of like contact you guys like saying thanks or anything of the nature?
Well, he hasn't contacted us personally, but he has given shout-outs via Twitter and anywhere else that he posts, thanking us, Neo Toonami, and just the fans themselves for keeping the spirit alive.
Awesome. I just saw a video of him at AX, I think a couple of weeks ago, talking about it, and it sounds like he's really glad that Toonami's back on the air and he's back to being Tom. Speaking of which, now that Toonami is back on the air on Cartoon Network, and Toonami Aftermath helped people keep watching Toonami until maybe possibly the day Toonami might return. How do you guys feel that Toonami is now back?
Well, ever since the April Fool's Day that Adult Swim had for everybody, we've been questioning ourselves intensely, but at this point, we're still just, as we intend to be, a ghost of Toonami's past here to bring it back for anyone who was a fan of Toonami back then.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that Toonami is back. But the thing is, though, is that this new Toonami that we have today, it is basically the some stuff we've been watching already on Adult Swim, but except they add like 2 new animes. But in a sense, like I am glad. I mean, like I'm very glad that Toonami is back, and I think that what it had brought in the past, as far as like whether it be game reviews, whether it be these cool like meaningful anime music videos that they would do every so often, talking about courage or talking about harnessing your anger or something. It was really cool and it's really deep, and I feel like they're trying to recapture that again today. Hopefully, hopefully, all things go well for Toonami. But going back to Toonami Aftermath, now when you guys had this site up for a while, when the viewers are starting to come in and everything is going swell for you guys, like aside from keeping it and maintaining and keeping it going, like what are you guys is like outside of Toonami Aftermath? Like what is like the outside? What do you guys do aside from that? It's like normal everyday average Joes.
Actually, it pretty much differs from, I guess, moderator to moderator. We really just come to make sure to keep the site clean and keep it kind of a PG-13 type rating, just in case if there are any parents out there who are fans of Toonami and want to give their kids the same experience. But outside of that, we're really just another person that you'd see on the street and you wouldn't even know it.
Have you ever walked went to an anime convention or walked down the street, or if you ever heard anybody talk about it and you're standing right behind them, do you get this smile, or do you have this moment of yeah, I'm that guy that helped get it on back on the air.
Oh, definitely.
that hidden assassin in the background, yeah, that's me, right? Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been watching Toonami for a long time. I was one of the many who grew up on watching Toonami. When it first aired, I can even go back and say I was watching it when Moltar was the guy that was being the host of it for a while before they went to Tom. And I started watching, all the Toonami classics, Outlaw Star, Sailor Moon, Tenshin Muyo. And the funny thing is, at the time, was I thought it was just a bunch of cartoons. I didn't really had the aspect of it being really anime. It's oh, okay.
Yeah, we all kind of took it for granted back then.
Yeah, we did. Can you tell me about your background with Toonami, how it kind of affected, I wouldn't say affected your life, but how you grew up with Toonami?
Let's see here. I know it was sometime during the summer when I was not even a teenager yet. It was the first time I had ever discovered Dragon Ball Z, and ever since then, me and all my childhood friends were hooked. The quality of the programming that they gave us, I can't even properly articulate my words here. I mean, it just kept us coming back for more.
I hear you. And the thing is, though, is Stephen Blau even said himself, it's he didn't realize he had affected so many people when Toonami was aired, and he said I'm sorry to your parents for doing this. But yes, Toonami really did affect a lot of us in different ways. Yeah, for me, I think for me, aside from the awesome programming they had, I think what really did it for me, as far as where to steer my path to what I want to do today, was the awesome 3D shorts, or the kind of mini movies that they have on Toonami, where Tom would try and fight this evil, or they would show him the upgraded Tom, or the explanation for a new model.
Yeah, what you're referring to was the Total Immersion events.
Definitely. And it was really cool because it was everything at the time, 3D wise back then. It was kind of rare to see on TV because it was very, I guess, kind of hard to do, or it was something that not many shows had. But when they did it on Toonami, I was so enthralled in the detail and everything. I was this is like a video game. And during that whole the whole bit, they even have times where they would have an interaction with the audience, go on to Toonami.com, play this game to help me get out of the situation or whatnot. And that really connected with some of the people who loved Toonami. We're yes, Tom, I will help you out. I'll play this game for 25 hours easily.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the stuff they did was really great, and I felt it was something special that I think touched everybody in a certain way. I'm trying to think what else was there. So as far as for the future of Toonami Aftermath, what do you guys plan to do as far as do you guys are you still planning to update Toonami's library of lineup shows, or how exactly are you guys gonna do?
Well, right now we're pretty happy with the schedule that we have. About at the end of last year, Toon hosted a vote for the general public for what they'd want to see on Toonami Aftermath in 2012. And right now he's currently working out all the bugs and encoding Cyborg 008 because that was the show that won.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, that was awesome.
And aside from that, we just kind of screen shows that we get suggested to us, and if we like it, we kind of talk amongst ourselves and give it a shot or not.
Awesome. Sweetness. Oh, I think, what was it? It was funny when I first started watching. I think one of the shows I've never watched, and then I started watching was the you guys put in. It was like late at night. It was what was it? Mystery Science Theater 3000. And my God, that was some hilarious shit. I was cracking up, man. Like there were times in that show where like I was just there to kind of see what the banter would be between the guys about the movie, no matter how bad the movie was. But yeah, I mean, like that show is pretty awesome. Like I've never seen that show in my life. I heard about it, and I've always, kind of wanted to watch it, but I finally found a chance or found a way to finally watch it on your guys' Aftermath, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Riff Tracks are personal favorites of Toons, and there was just no way he was going to launch the site without adding that.
Nice. Is there any personal favorites do you like to watch on Toonami Aftermath?
Yes. The shows that, for some reason, I just can't get enough of would be Ed, Edd and Eddy, Johnny Bravo, and aside from that, Interstellar on the weekends, the Daft Punk movie film, and the Riff Tracks.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, during a time where Cartoon Network was actually pretty awesome.
No kidding.
On the topic of that, how do you feel about the cartoon shows that are on today that compared to what it was back then?
Garbage. Pure and simple garbage. I mean, the storytelling has really pulled a 180 and just gone downhill. It's just one topic to the next. Even when you're watching a show, whether that be Adventure Time or, hell, I don't know what else airs on Cartoon Network nowadays, Chowder, for instance, it's just one scene after the other. There's never enough time for a person to completely soak in what they're watching.
Right, I hear you. I feel that some shows, I believe, are oh, excuse me. I believe like some shows that are on the air today are pretty okay. I mean, I feel like they're like the humor is there and I like it. But I feel like it's not what it was back then, where you had shows that were pretty awesome in writing, and it really showed in each episode. But it is what it is. I mean, people will for like what shows we may deem as awesome or crap, and they may like it for another reason. Were you gonna say anything?
Really, the only thing I have to add is, well, and that's entirely subjective. I mean,
yeah,
it's completely reasonable. I mean, I can even say that sure there are some things that I like, but it's just the overall idea compared to what it was back then.
Have you guys ever thought of holding a panel for like at an anime convention you guys may end up going to? Example, maybe AX or Fanime about Toonami Aftermath?
We've kind of joked about it amongst ourselves. There hasn't been any serious talk yet, but it is something that we would like to do maybe one day.
Awesome. It'd be a pretty cool panel to go to. I won't lie. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of any other questions to ask, but I think I'm starting to run out of ideas now. Don't worry, I'll cut this out.
That's fine.
Or I might leave it in. Who knows? Depends on how I end up doing it. So I heard you talk about, because I remember seeing it online. It was called Neo Toonami, and it looked like these guys were trying to bring back Toonami in a sense. Do you know the guys who are working on that, or is it something that you have little knowledge of?
Well, we've known about Neo Toonami ever since they went public with their website, and us, everyone here at Toonami Aftermath, we really do wish them the best and offer them as much support as they can possibly get from anybody that they can. I mean, I don't even know how to put it. They are in essence, another Toonami fan website, but they're trying to bring back Toonami as if it were in their own eyes, rather than the way that it's currently being aired on TV nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Right, I hear you. Go on.
And really, what else could I say about them? I mean, they've been in the works for the past 2 years that I know of personally, and I'm really hoping that they can someday launch and give their own fans what they've been wanting.
Yeah. I stumbled upon them. I forgot when exactly I came across them, but I did see their stuff, and I was excited to see like somebody put a different version of Toonami, kind of what their take would be on. And it's really cool they did everything by scratch, including the whole 3D animation and modeling of Tom. But yeah, I like to see them finish or get it rolling, so that we can see what their vision of Slime would be, and kind of have like a comparison of like all three.
Most definitely.
Definitely. Okay, so this may bring back some bad memories, but when Toonami had that last message about they're gonna be off the air, and they're gonna end it, and then you had that kind of message on by Tom, kind of it was a great ride and everything. When that day happened, what kind of went through your mind?
It was, I'd have to say, a time during my high school years. It was right as soon as I came home from school, I had seen Tom giving his goodbye speech. And, well, needless to say, I was pretty depressed from there. I mean, with somebody who had given us so much of his time, so much of his effort, and teaching us all sorts of things along his ways, it's like a mentor that you didn't want to see going out the door.
Yeah, I agree. It was something that I think for a lot of us, like it didn't feel quite like a proper goodbye. It was just, it was kind of sudden, but at the same time, like Toonami was on its kind of end game, or kind of like on its during the time where they were showing shows that weren't as good as they were before. So yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I mean, I feel that when Toonami went off the air and that message was very meaningful, I felt like Toonami kind of lost its way during the later years and put it on shows that I feel didn't quite fit to what Toonami is used to. I mean, I will say, like, good and bad Naruto that was on there. It did bring me to watch more Naruto when in sub form. But at the same time, I feel that the shows they did try to put on there didn't quite fit to what it was. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, with changing times comes changing programs.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though, I'm not gonna miss that was a Tom 4.0, the last Tom model that they did.
The little android-looking guy.
Yeah, I wasn't really quite a fan of that, honestly.
Yeah, neither were we. That's why we still stick to Tom 1 and Tom 2 to this day.
Yeah. So I'm glad that for Toonami today that they went back to one of the older models, and I'm cool with that. But yeah. Well, I can't think of any other questions, but I will leave the floor to you as far as like where they can find you, and kind of if they were to come to your site, what message would you tell them?
For anyone out there interested, we're always looking for new users to come in and welcome and just become one big old happy part of the family. I mean, you can personally find me on the live chat or in the forums / the site, since it's a separate login, and just message me with anything that you have a problem with or just want more info about, and we're always happy to assist. It's not just me. All of our moderator team and even all of us administrators, we're happy to welcome you all.
Glad to hear it. And again, for everybody listening, I highly suggest you guys check these guys out on their website at what was it? ToonamiAftermath.com?
Indeed, www.toonamiaftermath.com.
Awesome. Yeah, check them out. And I remember and also like I remember. Do you guys have Twitter accounts by any chance? Like I remember seeing it. I wasn't sure if it was an official one or not.
Yes, we do have a Twitter account and a Facebook account. The Twitter isn't nearly updated as often as the Facebook pages, though.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that's cool though. So yeah, guys, go check them out. Facebook, Twitter, website, everything. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this podcast or this segment. I really feel that Toonami really was really a big part of my life, as far as like a big part of my life as well as other people. And this is probably an episode that I'm meaning to do, and it's I find it kind of in a special way, like very meaningful. So thank you for joining me on this podcast.
You're very welcome, and I'm glad to have been a part of it.
Now, there are many of us who grew up watching Toonami, and I, am one of them among my other friends that also grew up in the 90s. I talked to Gregg from the Artistic Alliance and Overtime about his memories and thoughts about Toonami, and he had a very interesting point in as far as how he compares Toonami to what we have now to Adult Swim. I mean, it's obvious to make that comparison now with the programming that we have right now. But it makes an interesting comparison in the discussion we both had, talking about how Adult Swim and Toonami were essentially things that really made it was something for us to watch, and it was something that I guess in our own, like, to say like we own, this is our time to watch. There's always adults for adult time for watching movies or rated R stuff, and there's always kids who have that time. And for us, it was just it was our special time to actually watch something that actually meant to us, and it was something that we can say that we watch and own. But anyways, here's how the discussion went.
So Gregg, tell me, you watched Toonami, right?
Yeah, pretty much ever since it's been on.
When you actually tell me, like, when did you start watching Toonami?
I remember started watching Toonami. I don't remember what year, but I remember it was, oh my god, it wasn't Dragon Ball Z. And I'm trying to remember what I watched specifically, because I know that, like, it wasn't recently its 10-year, or not 10 years, because I'm trying to think of when it first came on and what I ended up watching when it was first on. Because I don't want to say, like, here's the thing, I don't want to say it was Dragon Ball Z because I think it was something else.
Right,
but
right,
it totally could have been Dragon Ball Z.
I
know that when it first started,
was it Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon, Ronin Warriors, Ultron?
No, what I think it was honestly, like, I was just flipping through the channels, and Voltron happened to come on, and Voltron was something that had come on when I was like a little kid, and I was like, oh cool, Voltron's on, and I didn't know what was basically that I was watching Toonami, and it kind of spawned from there. I know that the biggest time that we watched Toonami was when it was on after school.
Yeah.
Like, I was still in high school, and that's when they showed Dragon Ball Z and whatnot, and it was always on, like, because I remember we would rush home from school, and I say we as me and my brothers, and it was Dragon Ball Z was on at 3:00, and we had to see the new episode, and they played every episode like back to back for months, probably years, because I don't know how long that show actually is, but we could not miss an episode. I remember when I stopped watching it so much, when they started showing things like One Piece and Bobo and things like that, I stopped watching just because I did those cartoons didn't really interest me.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, when it started transitioning to kind of those type of animes, which those animes are fine. I mean, they're a little wacky. I mean, I won't lie. But yeah, it felt something that I was not interested in, really.
Right.
Yeah, except for Naruto. Like, Naruto was actually one of the animes I was, like, really into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you.
Do you remember, the name of, like, because it wasn't just Tom. There was,
Motar.
Motar.
Yeah. Yeah, he was before Tom. He was, I remember because,
Are you talking about the Cartoon Planet guy?
From
Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yeah. The guy in the red suit, the one always behind the controls, like changing the channels, on Space Ghost. But it was.
God, I remembered that, but it's so long ago.
Yeah, like he was in full 3D, and like he was just like managing the controls and changing the channels like he usually do, and it was pretty cool. I think one of the things he said I still remember is when they reintroduced Sailor Moon. He's like, he changed the channels, like, this one's for all the ladies, in very smooth kind of deep
awesome.
voice. Yes, oh, it was so cool.
Yeah, I wish I could remember more about when because I'm right now looking up like past Toonami stuff on my computer, just because my mind is kind of blank with like the shows that I. Okay, so the first lineup. Oh, do you remember Cartoon Roulette?
I do not. I might have been watching it, but I just explain to me, what was Cartoon Roulette?
It was just they had random cartoons. It was
okay.
It was old cartoons too, like stuff from the 40s.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here. Oh yes. Okay, so here was when I think I watched Toonami the most was 1999 and 2000, and probably 2001 and then 2002. But it consisted of Sailor Moon Reboot, Dragon Ball Z, and The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was part of the Toonami lineup, the Johnny Quest one.
Oh, I totally remember that being part of the lineup because they had the commercials during Dragon Ball Z, and me and my brothers were very confused. Like, what is that show? What is it going to be? What does JQ stand for? And then when they finally showed like a week before it came out, they were like The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and because of Cartoon Roulette playing episodes of that show, like old episodes of that show, that's how we knew what Johnny Quest was.
Ah, okay. Wow. I mean, the funny thing is about that show is that, and it was a showing too, like during that time, like a 3D shows were the thing in 1990, 2000, in that time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it's not like all of them were pretty good, regardless. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? Okay, so just to tell everybody out there, like, you were about how old when you started watching?
29 now, and it's 2012. So in 2002, I was 19.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 years. That's good, man.
So, well, actually, it's probably been a little bit longer than that, because I know I started watching in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to think of back when I was in 8th grade, and this is a slightly side story.
Right.
When I was in 8th grade, I remember a friend coming up to me and saying, "Have you ever seen Akira?" And I went, "What's Akira?" And he goes, "It's an anime." And that's the first time I'd ever heard the word anime. And I went, "Well, what's an anime?" And he goes, "It's a Japanese cartoon or Japanese show, animated show." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, let's watch Akira." And so I watched it, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But then I started watching more anime, just like constantly watching more anime. And I remember Adult Swim, when that premiered, which I don't remember when Adult Swim premiered, but they had they were like almost an exclusively anime.
Yeah. I do remember when Adult Swim did come on, like they were showing shows like Inuyasha and Hunter Robin.
Oh my god! Wow, Witch Hunter Robin, way to bring back that.
Yeah.
Woo.
You know what's funny is like thinking back is like when you were younger, and I was also younger too, watching Adult Swim. Did it feel like when you were watching it felt like you were kind of grown up, or like it felt like a show for more older people, and you're watching? It's like, oh man, I feel so mature watching this.
Yeah, oh yeah. That was when I first started watching Adult Swim. That was one of the big things. Was like, this isn't supposed to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't something that's supposed to be on Cartoon Network. As I remember, I think it was a year before that, Cartoon Network had done this whole 24-hour April Fool's joke, where there's a character, I don't remember his name, something Squirrel.
Secret Squirrel?
Not Secret Squirrel. It was, they only made 8 cartoons of him ever.
Mm-hmm.
But they used this one cartoon that they had made, and they replayed it over and over and over again. And what they were doing on the bottom of the screen was they kept doing a ticker as to why. And it was basically that he had taken over the studio, and he was holding everyone hostage and demanding that they make more cartoons of him. And it was really funny, and I thought it was really, I was just like, where are they going with this? I don't know what's going on. At the very end, they were like, April Fools, nothing happens. And I was like, oh, and I think that was a moment in my life where childhood was kind of taken away, or kind of like it not taken away, because I'm still not an adult, but it was definitely like muffled for a little bit. Like, I saw through the the rose-colored glasses. And I think that's when Adult Swim premiered, and I just kind of went, huh.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't just Adult Swim. Maybe it was Toonami playing like late night stuff or whatever it was. Because I remember Tenchi Muyo being one that I was just like, this isn't supposed to be on TV.
Exactly. You know what's funny? It's like, okay, so when I first watched Tenchi Muyo, that was like my very first perverted anime I watched, and I was like kind of blown away with the stuff we get away with. I was like, wow, huh? And I think it's funny. I think what was it? Like, okay, so I know they edited the show to where, like, in the original Japanese animation, like, it was, you could, like, boobs are, like, hanging out half the time. Or, like, when they appear, like, they're just there. But the funny thing is, like, there's no nipples. It's just, like, it's like a, it's like a boob with no nipple. I can't.
No, I got you.
But, like, the thing is, though, is, like, you watch it, you watch it, and at first you're shocked, but then after a while you get used to it. But yeah, they edited it for the show, and it's just like some of the stuff they showed the first time for me was like, wow, this is awesome, but I'm shocked at the same time.
Yeah, it was one thing that I remember about Adult Swim that was really funny was that it was kind of like when it first came out, it was my thing. It was different. It was new. It was something that people hadn't really seen. I'd ask my friends, like, have you seen it? And they'd say, oh no, what's that? And I'd be like, it's the greatest thing ever. I remember that very, very, very vividly in my head, because it just kind of, it was a big thing for me. It was a big thing to sit there and watch these these adult-like cartoons, essentially.
Definitely.
Or be like, or I remember that, like, Adult Swim, when it started airing a lot of the animes that it aired, there was a lot of people that immediately shunned it because they were kind of bringing a more pop culture light to. Toonami was bringing a light culture, or like a more of a light to the world of anime. And so a lot of the people who had kind of embraced anime as their thing, as like nobody else knows about it, it's this thing that is mine and mine alone, and if anyone does know about it, it's because they discovered it the same way I did, so I can be friends with them. That kind of attitude. So as soon as like Toonami and Adult Swim started making these animes very popular and very pulp culture-y, there was I remember very vividly, a lot of people just like, this is bullshit, there's no reason for them to do this, and I'm not even kidding, like, it was a real thing, and I remember, like, the first time I went to school, and I was like, and me and my friend were like, Cowboy Bebop is the shit, and someone was like, I know about Cowboy Bebop years before you did, I watched it with subtitles, and me and my friend were like, fuck you?
Well, yeah, because, like, during that time, like, torrents weren't out at all, at least to my knowledge. I think the closest thing to a torrent was Kazan, and every time you install it and download anything from Kazan, you get a virus.
Yeah.
We didn't have access to getting anime today as we did back then. So watching Cowboy Bebop and watching Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z, it was like on Toonami was awesome because it was the closest thing we'll ever get to an anime, unless we go out and bought the DVD or VHS, I'm saying, at the time. But yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I remember, like, I remember enjoying Family Guy, and I remember enjoying Futurama when they were first on.
Mm-hmm.
But if it hadn't been for Adult Swim, those shows would have died.
Yeah.
And the same goes for a lot of animes. Like, there's been a lot of animes that have aired on Adult Swim that people don't realize would have... I am so sorry.
It's fine. It's...
Wow. There's a lot of animes that wouldn't be popular or wouldn't be as well known as they are right now if it weren't for Toonami and Adult Swim. And I kind of bunch them in the same category because, like, right now Adult Swim plays Toonami stuff, so...
Yeah, which is ironic in a way, but...
It is. It absolutely is. I think that's where ultimately we're going to with this conversation is how did we feel when that whole thing happened.
Right. I mean...
April.
Yeah, definitely. When April Fools happened on Adult Swim, like, we were all surprised, like, oh my god, Toonami's back. And I remember that vividly, like, we all did, like, it wasn't that too long ago. And you and I and everybody that we knew that grew up in the 90s was all excited. I remember I was on, the way I found out was, like, I was watching some funny game streams one night, and the chat just blew up, just saying, Toonami's back, Tom's back. I was like, what? For reals? Because sometimes in the chat rooms, like, they would troll sometimes, and, like, they'll make up shit. But then I, went to check on my TV, and then I see Tom on TV, Toonami back. I was like, holy shit. They were lying.
That's kind of what happened to me too. I remember going somewhere out at night, and we came back home. And I said we as me and my family. And I sit on the computer, pop up Facebook, and I had a bunch of friends just, oh my god, Toonami's back, Toonami's back. And I looked at my folks and I went, please turn it to Adult Swim. Please turn it to channel, to Cartoon Network. They were like, why? And I was like, just please do it. And so they changed it, and it was airing one of the animes. So my parents were just sitting there watching this anime because my parents could give two craps about anime. And they're bored, and I'm like, okay, it's saying that Toonami's back. My mom and dad telling me this weird look, and I'm like, do you remember Toonami, the thing that, we watched a Dragon Ball Z on and other animes? And Mom was like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's the thing with the CGI robot, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be on. And she goes, well, if you want to look, go upstairs into your room and find out. And I was like, all right. So I finished up what I was doing on the computer and went upstairs, and sure enough, I was watching Toonami with older anime. I was just like, this is amazing.
Yes. And the thing is, though, is like that entire night, like the internet exploded. Like everybody was on that. I remember a friend of mine was in San Francisco, and he had heard about the news, and he was at a bar, and somebody had turned on one of the TVs into to Toonami to watch, and he's like at the bar, and he tweeted, "Well, at least there isn't no anime." Oh wait, fuck. And it was a picture of I remember it was a picture of like one of the shows showing was Gundam Wing. So yeah, that was sick. I want to ask, when you back when Toonami was on in the early heydays, when we were all watching it, what was the thing that really, I guess, you took away from, or kind of like why everybody has a certain love for Toonami?
It was the fact that it felt like it was programming that cared. They actually gave a shit that they were putting stuff on TV that was entertaining because of the sake of entertainment, not because we're trying to make a buck. Me and my brothers, we've been very perceptible to bullshit on TV. We know when we're being fed bullshit. And it was one of the first times where we were like, wow, this is like, they're actually giving us good stuff from a different country. They're not just giving us, this asinine crap. Like, do you remember when Spike TV did their whole Takashi's Castle dub over?
Yes. I enjoyed it, actually, but yes, I do remember it.
I only enjoyed it on mute. That's the funny thing. I hated that show, the audio to it, like the audio that Spike TV put on it.
Yeah.
And I'd actually found episodes of Takashi's Castle outside of that dubbing, and it was great. It's still funny, it's still silly, and nobody takes it seriously.
Definitely.
But it wasn't as ridiculous as Spike TV's dubbing was making it.
Yeah.
And that was something that we really enjoyed about Toonami, is that there was nothing that was bullshit about it.
Right.
Plus, when Steve Bloom would be doing his Tom, there was times where he'd say really inspirational stuff about being yourself and never giving up and all kinds of good shit. And I remember watching those, and I remember being impacted by those. And I remember now watching them as an adult on YouTube and kind of tearing up, because it's like even though he just was the host and he didn't really say a whole lot normally, there were times when he did, and when he did, it was impactful. And yes, I know it's writers, but there was a point to it. There was a message about never sitting there and compromising who you are for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Never sitting there and taking something else for granted. Never thinking that you're less because you are who you are.
Heads up! There's a new millennium on the way, and you've got a decision to make. You gonna be like everyone else, or are you gonna forge your own path? Be your own person, an individual. Have faith in yourself. Webster's says individuality is a total character distinguishing an individual from others. You know, somebody who stands out from the crowd, who's a little different.
Yes, I like being unique.
Could be hair, clothes, just a different outlook.
From this point on, there's no looking back.
An individual takes responsibility for their actions and refuses to let anyone tell them what to do.
I'm sorry, but I've always been me.
Being yourself isn't always easy. Sometimes you gotta take some licks.
What a joke you are, Sailor Moon. You're a complete loser. They're just jealous.
But in the long run, it's the only thing that makes you who you are. Don't ever give it up.
You can't just give up because things aren't the way we want them to be.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me for my entire, ever since I heard that for the first time. It's always been in my brain. It's always been, just fused to me. I was talking to one of my friends who I'd also grown up with, Toonami, And him and I both remembered, Tom saying those words, and it was kind of like that uncle that you had that was like really cool, or the guy that was a friend of the family who was you really looked up to, and all of a sudden he gave you some really good advice that stuck with you. That's how Tom was for us. And it's kind of like we are the TV generation, so everybody has that. Everybody's going to have something in that fashion, and I'm glad that mine was Tom.
Yes, I agree. Like when Toonami did those kind of meaningful messages, and when they had Tom dubbed over them, and even like I really like the kind of like they were like the beginnings of, or they were the kind of the first people to make anime music videos where they matched like a deep meaning into what they were talking about, but used like different anime episodes and characters to speak from the lines of the show to what they were talking about, which was really cool. I really dug it, and it was simply awesome. But yes, Tom, like even though he was just a voiceover, he really delivered some strong messages that a lot of us took and kind of kept with us as while we're growing up. So yeah, it's something that I think at least in the 90s generation of us, special moments, I think is the right word I'm looking for. So yeah.
Yep.
So now Toonami's back on the air, and after tons of people were tweeting about it, all being what's sort of I can't think of words tonight. What was it? Steve Blum was leading that pack, and they were like saying like keep tweeting, we want Toonami back, and there was such an outcry, such I guess I won't say a plea, but like such a surge of people wanting the program to be back because of the memories they had of Tom and everything that they experienced in the 90s. And then when it finally came back, now people are happy, but at the same time they're not.
Right.
What do you think of Toonami now?
When Toonami was being talked about being brought back, I remember having a conversation with Mike, who's been on this podcast before, part of artisticalliance.org. Cheap plug. I remember having a conversation with him about it, and we were discussing what Toonami is going to be when it comes back. What are they going to do? And I remember one of the things that we had discussed was we would really like Toonami to come back and air old school anime, like the stuff that we watched when we were kids. I'm doing Dragon Ball Z, Gundam, Tenchi Muyo, that kind of stuff. Like bring that, like air that stuff again, in order.
Yeah.
And it comes back, and they're like, no. We're going to air the more adult stuff that we've aired before, but we're going to air some new stuff as well. And it kind of soured the coolness of it coming back, because as happy as I was, as excited as I was, it still felt like they were trying to cater to a certain group of people who had never experienced Toonami. Because there was still probably a large group of people who watch Adult Swim who like the anime block but have no idea what Toonami is, which to me is really bizarre. It's like growing up not know what bacon is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure they exist, and I'm sure that Toonami, or that Adult Swim, was very adamant about making sure that this group didn't feel left out. So I think that's why it is the way that it is right now. But we really wanted like old episodes of Dragon Ball Z and stuff that we would watch when we were younger. We wanted those shows to come back in their original glory, and especially now with I don't know what channel it is. I don't remember what channel it is, but Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Yeah, on was it Nickelodeon?
It might be Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I think it is.
But
yeah,
I remember. Oh my god, my apologies. I remember when I watched Dragon Ball Z Kai for the first time, I said, there are going to be kids out there that are going to have no idea that this anime was longer than this.
Yeah.
They're going to have no idea that this is not supposed to be this short. And it wasn't, Kai isn't bad because it's still Dragon Ball Z, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not Dragon Ball Z at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted Dragon Ball Z to come back. I wanted the Dragon Ball Z that, you know, I grew up with, and I wanted them to experience that Dragon Ball Z. So
yeah, we wanted them to experience that cheesy, corny intro that we grew up watching. Or
yeah,
like,
Head Shala.
Yeah.
Head Shala. Something. And they're not going to get that because, you know, I don't know if Adult Swim or Cartoon Network doesn't own the rights to it anymore or can't air it for, you know, purposes of cash, or I don't know what's the reason, but like I said, when it came back, I was happy, but I was disappointed at the same time. I was happy because it was Tom. Tom was on my TV again saying new things, but it was new programming.
Yeah.
And it was like, Kashern Sins and Dead Man Wonderland, cool. I'm down, and I'm really happy that they're airing. Oh God, what was it? It was I know they're airing I got the thing right here. They're airing they're airing Bleach and Ghost in the Shell, which are two shows. Those are two shows that already were on the anime block that they had.
Yeah.
And then they got Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which was already being aired on their another anime block.
Yeah.
And then Cowboy Bebop, which was also being aired on their anime block. So it kind of felt like it was like, and I think I kind of predicted it too. I was like, the likelihood of them airing these shows that we want to watch is slim to nil. I think I told Mike, I said I'm gonna call it right now, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna just basically put the Toonami skin over the anime block that they have right now.
Yeah.
And they actually saved money. They saved money doing this too, because apparently, when you pay a voice actor, you pay him for, you know, whatever he says for that one session. Well, if he only says, you know, an hour's worth of work, then you only have to pay him for an hour's worth of work. Whereas if it was a 6-hour block, you'd have to pay him for, you know, 2 hours of work.
Yeah.
Or paying, you know, the distributors or whatever for the episodes that they show of the show, and only showing, you know, 3 hours of stuff, like, and then just replaying it later. You know, I guess that shows that they're only playing it once technically.
Right. And the thing is, though, is that they came out and said this, like, you know, this is something that we want to bring back, but we just don't have the money to really bring it back. I mean, it's back, but it's, you know, it's only with the amount of money that Cartoon Network can provide. But, like, what they says, like, if you want this to grow and get better, you know, keep watching and support the show, support what it is, and hopefully it'll get better from there. Because I remember Toonami was on every day, including weekends. There were a number of shows that were showing. It's not only DBZ, but they were showing a lot of other things at the same time. On top of the meaningful messages kind of deal in between, and the game reviews, and people mailing in their art drawings of like Tom or like any other characters in the show that were like age 4 to like age 18 or 19. So I remember that was pretty cool. But yeah, like, it's something that I think they really want to see back, and it's something I think they are hoping that the fans will react and support heavily. So I have to wait and see. So, but yeah. As far as looking back at Toonami and what it has done for a generation, and it's funny, even Steve Blum kind of said, like, you know, he said to the audience at one time when he was doing a panel, I think it was at AX, or even other panels that he might have been to, he said, he said he's in a way to like our parents, he's like, I'm sorry for changing your kid for his entire life. Because it did.
Oh yeah.
It did. Like it affected every one of us. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's definitely something that, you know, it'll be with us for the rest of our lives. You know, we're not tomorrow morning just gonna wake up and be like, whoa, forgot about that.
Yeah. What was your favorite part about Toonami?
That's a good question. I really, really enjoyed whenever he would review something. I remember, and this, I'm not talking, you're not asking me about the programming, right? You're asking me about the...
No, just like in entirety of Toonami, including shows and everything that they did. Like, yeah, what was your favorite part about it?
Oh,
You can say about the game reviews. Like, that's also a part.
Well, it is something that I really, really liked, but the reason I'm kind of like steering away from it now is because one of my favorite things about Toonami, or one of the things that one of my favorite things that they ever did was, like I said earlier, just cared about the audience that they were entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't really pick one thing because my favorite show they ever aired was Dragon Ball Z. My favorite thing that Tom would do was the game and movie reviews. My favorite Tom was the last one, the one right before they completely went off air.
Really? That was your favorite Tom?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one with like the weird things coming off the back of his head.
Yeah.
I like that Tom a lot.
That's cool.
Like the one they got right now for Adult Swim, or for the Toonami Now. He's really slick and whatnot, and I'm kind of like, ugh, he looks like an iRobot robot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'll be honest. Like, I didn't really like the very last iteration of Tom. I felt it was kind of weird to what he was, but yeah, he does look like a robot, but he kind of has been in a way.
Yeah. I mean, well, trying to decide like which Tom is the best is kind of like trying to pick which Pixar movie is the best.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So this may be a touchy subject because it affected everybody that watched Toonami. When Toonami finally went off the air, when he told that message to everyone, like that Toonami was done. We had a lot of good times and whatnot. And this is during a time where they were showing animes that I think nobody really cared for, or Toonami was like on a downside. So when that day finally happened, like, how did you feel? What was your reaction to all of it?
We didn't know it was gonna happen. We were not told that this was going to be a thing. I remember when we were watching I think we were watching it late at night, and Samurai Jack was on. And I remember me and my brother really, really liked Samurai Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And then Samurai Jack was over, and we were like, cool, that was a good episode. And all of a sudden Tom comes on, and he starts doing this long thing about, never forgetting and being there, and just all that. That's just the big message that he said at the end that was really good. And he was like, see you next time, bang, and we were just like, the fuck? We were very confused. Because we didn't understand what was going on. And I don't remember, I remember, like, not having the internet at the time, or not having it readily available. What year was it? It was 2008?
No, I would say, I think it feels like earlier. Maybe, I don't know, I want to say 2006? No. Maybe like 2007. Maybe it was 2008. Hang on. Let me check.
I remember the way that we found out that like it was out was the internet, I believe. And we were like, we didn't know what to think. Like, we honestly were just dumbfounded.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it was 2008. Yeah, I just looked it up. So, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember there was like things that was like, it's like it said permanent shutdown sequence and all kinds of stuff. We were just like, what is going on? And I remember we had to go online to find out, and we were very sad that it went away. And And I remember the next night, they played the same animes, but we didn't care.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like we just didn't give a fuck, and it wasn't that the animes were bad. It's just there was something missing. There was clearly a hole left, and we kind of moved on to other things. And I think those other things were what Adult Swim was playing, and I remember watching, like, loving Adult Swim so much that I would wait for it to come on. And they would play animes all the way up till Adult Swim started. And this was, like, before Cartoon Network changed its programming to where now they play cartoons all the way up until, 9 o'clock, and then Adult Swim starts. Because I remember it was always a transition. It was always, like, Cartoon Network stuff, Cartoon Planet, Toonami, Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And at this time, it was Cartoon Planet was already gone, and then it would stop. It would just air cartoons, and then it would just be animes, and then it would just go right into Adult Swim. And I don't remember. I think we just kind of forgot about it. We just kind of we moved on. We did other things. We just watched Adult Swim. But I always remember sitting there like 2008, 2009, watching animes as they were airing right before Adult Swim would come on, and just kind of going like, there's something missing. There's just something not quite right. Not caring enough because something wasn't there. But it's one of those things where, like, you know that something's, like, not there, but it's kind of out of your memory. It's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that could be why, so many people were so, oh my god, when Toonami came back, was because I think a lot of people were in the same state of mind. It ended, and they just kind of moved on, because there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
If they cancel a show, you can petition as much as you want, but if it's gone, it's gone. So you just kind of have to move on to the next thing. And I think that's what a lot of people did. And then, the way that the world works now is that fan outcry has more power than anything else,
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's one thing, not to steer us off too much, if there's one thing that we learned today is that people out there, fans, gamers, everybody has a very loud voice. And if there's any proof of that recently, it's that Android console, that Kickstarter, has gone around at least 3 million in 2-3 days for an idea console for that people want for $100. So it goes to show you that today we have a lot more power than we used to back in the day.
Yeah, and especially with the internet, like, the world is so much smaller now, and I think studios and TV stations and stuff are struggling to keep people watching TV, and they can't figure out why people are moving away from TV. That why people just, like, my brother right now, he lives with 2 other girls, one of being his girlfriend, and they do not have cable. They don't, because they don't see the necessity in cable when they can watch all their shows that they want online for, like, and legally too, not illegally. Even though, I'm sure that there are shows that they do illegally, but whatever. But yeah, they can watch all their shows legally. They can watch their if they want to be entertained by a movie or something, they have all their DVDs or Netflix. It's like, what's the point of having, like, honestly, if it weren't for my parents right now, having, cable in the house and stuff, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, the thing is, though, is we can watch almost everything today on the internet, and then not to mention that our game consoles are also kind of like entertainment, our entertainment boxes at the same time. Like the need for a TV cable is becoming less and less.
So that's why I think that a lot of studios are just, I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think they're afraid to take ideas. I think they're afraid to run off of fresh ideas, because there's a lot of fans out there, like, let's take the Ninja Turtle thing, for example. And not to get too far off topic, but I have to go into this.
Right.
When Michael Bay came out and said that he was making them into aliens, the nerd part of me went, what? No! Fuck you, Michael Bay! Then the rational adult part of me went, dude, you're bitching about a movie that is based off of a franchise from your childhood that if somebody was a fan, like, and this is something I tried to explain to my brother, if somebody was a fan of the comic book and then went, oh shit, they're making a cartoon series of it, back in the, you know, when they created it, how pissed off do you think they were when that cartoon started?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to put things in that kind of a light. Yes. If you want to get technical, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's only 4 things you have to get right about them. That they're teenagers, that they're mutants, that they're ninjas, and that they're turtles. Those are the only 4 things you really have to get right. And making them alien, yes, does take away the mutant part. Making them adults, which he was going to do, takes away the teenage part. So then they're just Ninja Turtles, but they're not turtles if they're aliens, so they're just ninjas. But if they come from another planet, then they don't know ninjutsu, which doesn't make them aliens. So what are they?
Yeah.
Adult aliens who happen to know a martial art from another planet? Like, that's not Ninja Turtles. However, again, I go back to that fight of, you know, it's you know, an adaptation. It's not that thing that you had enjoyed when you were a kid. It still exists. That never went away. That's not just because you don't like the new Total Recall because it's not on Mars or whatever. Doesn't mean the old Total Recall doesn't exist.
Right,
you know, that movie still is there. You can still watch that movie. It doesn't taint anything. You know, as long as you don't let it taint it. The second that you allow yourself to fall into that trap, you find that problem. And I kind of feel like that does fall into the whole thing with Toonami, where I think a lot of people kind of felt that same nostalgia punch to the nuts when you know, the programming was not that classic programming. When, like, I think that's why a lot of people kind of felt like there was a bittersweetness to it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I can't argue there, but at the same time, I guess it's just showing the times at the same time, I guess.
Yeah. I'll agree with you on that one. It's just, it's hard to sit there and say which thing is you know, right. You know, do you try and make a studio as a fan base, you know, get the old programming back, or do you just go, hey, Toonami's fucking back, quick planet?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to wait and see as far as like how Toonami will evolve and see where it will go. Will it ever recreate those memories that we hold dear when that was back in the 90s? Maybe not. But they are at least at the power they have, at least, you know, with the money that they can only spend so much, they are trying to some degree, but they also need help at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you look at something like Comic-Con, and you see how many people actually go, and it's not just, you know, the twihards and shit like that. Like, people that who you would not consider a nerd are going because, as it has been said, geek is now chic.
Yep.
And and it's kind of like one of the, like, I'm now cool because of the things I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm now cool because I can sit there and go like, and that's something that I learned very quickly was with things like Toonami that were coming back or other things like not to get off topic, but this kind of falls in the same category. Let's take, you know, the Amazing Spider-Man and the Avengers that just came out. My brother-in-law, 2 years before these movies were even announced, wouldn't have given a shit about any of it. Comic books are for nerds, they're for geeks, geeks are losers, the jock mentality.
Yeah.
These movies come out, they're cool, they're awesome, they're fun to watch, and all of a sudden, let's talk to Gregg. He knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And I sit there and I have to make a decision. Do I play the guy that goes, well, in the comic book it's like this, or do I go, well, do you want to know what happened in the comic book? Do you care?
Yeah.
Who was the guy at the end? Spoiler alert. Who was the guy at the end of the credits of the Avengers? I think it's been long enough for me to not be a spoiler, but
yeah.
Because everybody and their fucking brother's seen that movie now.
I saw it twice. It was awesome.
3 times. 3 times, son.
Oh shit.
But who's the guy at the end of the credits? And Thanos. Who's Thanos? He's a bad guy that constantly fucks with the Avengers. Now, I'll get 2 responses off of that answer. Well, what does he do? Or, okay, cool, so he'll be the bad guy in the next film, that's cool. Now, the person that goes, what does he do, has shown me interest in wanting to know. Has shown me interest in wanting to understand more about the character. So then I'll go, well, he's an alien from another planet. What kind of alien? A Titan. He's from the moon, the Titan. He's from the Titan. One of Jupiter's moons named Titan. Okay. Does he have any superpowers? He's just a bit more. He's a bit of a superhuman, but then again, that's just his race. Like, they're just stronger than humans in general.
Right.
And then, it goes further than that. It goes into deeper stuff, or it'll stop, and when it stops, it stops. And that's something that, I think a lot of geeks that I know, or a lot of nerds that I know, a lot of my friends, they don't know when to quit. They don't know when the person has stopped listening.
Okay.
And that's the point that I make with Toonami, is do you realize, do these geeks realize that Toonami has aired it now and has stopped listening? That your outcries, you're trying to make them understand how important it is to you, has fallen now on deaf ears since they started airing it.
Yeah.
I think that's where the bittersweetness for Toonami comes in for me, is the fact that it kind of feels like they just aired it because we wanted it, not because they wanted to air it. Whereas that's how it was in the past, was they wanted to air it.
Yeah.
The only one that seems like he wants to air it is Steve Bloom.
Yeah. And you can tell. I mean, I've seen the guy. I mean, this question comes up with him, and he's always has a very passionate feel about it. I remember in this clip will be in this show. He says, a question was asked at Anime Expo about, how does it feel to be back at Toonami? And he says, in response, feels like I'm back at home. Because he really cares. He really, really cares about the whole Toonami program and how it affected everyone at that time. 2 more things before we end this. I have to say my favorite thing about Toonami was whenever they did the whole when Tom was gonna transform into his other suit, and it had the storyline behind it as to why. I really loved the whole 3D animation and the whole story behind it. It was really cool watching it. It actually led me into going to a career that I will eventually do in the video game industry. And it was really awesome. Just seeing Tom, instead of, sitting back and controlling Toonami at the controls, he was moving around, he was shooting things, he was out in space, he was doing a lot of things that we were normally seeing him for. So that was really cool. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
And my last thing I want to ask you, if you had a message to kind of, to talk to Tom, or to we don't know Tom's a fictional character, but he's real to me. If you had a message for Tom, for Toonami, for anybody really who, I guess, have or have not watched Toonami, what would it be?
Honestly, it'd be the same thing I'd say to any geek. enjoy it right now while it lasts. Be happy that you live in a renaissance of geekery, of geekdom. That this stuff is cool and totally okay to be around, and that you're not weird or abnormal for enjoying it. Enjoy it while it lasts. Toonami's back on. Just shut up and enjoy it.
Toonami's back, bitches. Oh yeah. I would say. I think personally, I like to give a bent message to Tom and say thank you, Tom, for giving everything that you gave us, your wisdom, your power, everything that you helped us grow up, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's damn good it's damn good that you're back. So yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, Greg, thank you for being on this.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. This has been something I've been thinking about for a while. I just had to wait. I just had to wait a few months to get this going.
Yeah.
You can. Where they can find you on the internet?
Oh, you can find me on Tumblr and Twitter at ChubRockGeek. I don't post enough on either one, but still follow me. I'd appreciate it. Mm-hmm. You can find me on YouTube under ChubRock. You can find my vlog on my YouTube channel called The Geek Losing It that I need to get back going. You can find my show, The Overtime, on artisticalliance.org. Also, if you search The Overtime on iTunes, you can find the show. I think it's under Artistic Alliance Presents is the moniker that it's under, but yeah, you can find it there. And that's a show that I host, not weekly, just kind of whenever. It's usually after we record an episode of the Freaking Awesome Podcast, which is another show that we do weekly on artisticalliance.org, or at least we try to do weekly. And that's a review show, and then that's how the Overtime kind of got created. Was, hey, we have more to talk about. Let's do an Overtime, and I was like, I want to host it.
Gotcha.
So you can check out both those shows. They're really good.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. I can't thank you again for as much this podcast episode means to me. It means to everybody else. So, Thank you.
From the beginning, there has been one mission, blazing across the universe. In our wake, highly advanced robotics, space interfaces, and cyberpunk hesitancy.
So as you can hear, not only me, but many others were part of that generation, grew up watching Toonami and affected us in different ways. I'd like to thank everyone who was on this podcast, as well as thank you guys for listening. I'd like to thank Greg from The Overtime. I'd like to thank our Toonami Aftermath people for letting me doing this podcast with them. And then not only that, I'd like to give a thank you to YouTuber Shadow Dragon 28 for a clip when I put at the end of this podcast. But yes, like thank you guys again for really supporting Toonami, and thank you for listening for this podcast. This has been something I've been waiting and hoping to do one day, and when things fell into place, I was happy that it did. So be sure to check out all the stuff on our website at www.missionstartpodcast.com. All the information you need about our Twitter, our Facebook, our PayPal, everything you need to know is there. Not to mention, hey, subscribe to us on iTunes and rate us, give us reviews, and all that good stuff. And you'll probably be hearing more stuff like this in the future, not just the normal, main discussion about gaming and other stuff. But anyways, I can't thank you guys enough. And I had to say thank you to Tom thank you to, Cartoon Network for putting Toonami back on the air. So I'll leave the rest of the podcast to Steve Blum and that YouTube recording. So I'll see you around, guys.
Toonami's back, bitches. How you guys doing? Like a party up in here. So, wow, I've got a lot of family here. I actually have my family here for the first time. My parents are here. Mom and Dad are right here. Everybody give them a big one. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back at Anime Expo, and what a different experience this is. It's been a big year with Korra. Getting Toonami back on the air. Before I do anything else, I just want to thank you all who participated in the Twitter storms we had every Saturday night after the April Fool's stunt. Were you surprised? Yeah, this surprised me too, actually. But because of you guys, we actually made history. We got Toonami back on the air for a whole new generation to enjoy. So anyway, I think we're just going to open it up and find out what's on your minds, see what you guys are thinking, and let's roll.
From your bigger roles such as Spike from Cowboy Bebop to your lesser known roles as Tecmo from regular show. My question is that after all these years of Toonami being canceled, how does it feel to be Tom again?
It's like coming home. Honestly, it really is. It's an interesting question because Tom, I feel more invested in than a lot of my characters. At this point, I feel like I'm part of the production team because I joined you guys in getting it back on the air. And I realized after the show was canceled the first time that at cons, people would come up to me and say that I helped raise them. They would rush home from school after. They shouldn't be doing homework and they were watching my character on the air. So I apologize to all of your parents. And glad that you all turned out okay. And I'm really, really happy to be back as Tom. So thank you guys again for bringing us back.
Tonight's schedule for Toonami. Could you list the scheduling as Tom?
Oh my God. I don't have it written down, dude. I don't know. I don't have it written down. Okay.
Just make it up.
What time does Dead Man Wonderland come on, you guys? Dead Man Wonderland at 12:30. Bleed, chat. Casher and Sins at Cowboy Bebop at Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Ghost in the Shell standalone compact complex 15th edition. Is that everything? Coming up next on Toonami. And apologies to Jason and Gil at Toonami for not remembering the schedule. Oh, by the way, can we thank Jason DeMarco and Gil Austin for bringing back Toonami? You guys see this on YouTube, and I'm sure you will. Thank you guys for all the hard work. And everything you can do to keep Toonami on the air and possibly bring it back to weekdays. Keep watching, number one. Tell a friend to watch with you, and write into Adult Swim and let them know you're watching, and then find out who has Nielsen boxes and make them watch. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Do you have the line written down? Oh, it's in the quotes. Okay, here we go again. Okay, in Tom Toonami's voice, can you say, all right. Oh, you ready for this, guys? Yeah. We'll be right back with more Avatar. And it just went back. What's the rest of it? There's probably more. Oh. And now we're back with more of The Legend of Korra, only on Toonami.